Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, professor of physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of May 19th this time around. This week, it's a beautiful waning moon week. Next week, it's going to be a beautiful waxing moon week. So with the waning moon, it means it rises later at night. It's going to start in the morning of the 20th at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to rise maybe half an hour later each night, something like that. So that you've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 o'clock, it's rising. It's about 50% full. And on that morning, it's right next to Deneb Algedi. And Nashira is that star right there. Deneb Algedi, Nashira in the tail of Capricorn. And so we love these stars because the moon, the planets, all kinds of things pass by these stars all the time. So we've talked about them a lot. These should be stars that we get to know and love in the sky. On the morning of the 21st, one night later, it's going to rise a little bit later, 40% full. And it's right next to 3.7th magnitude Lambda Aquarii. So you'll see the waning moon near a nice, relatively bright star in Aquarius. The next morning, the morning of the 22nd, we just stepped forward one day, right? And so the next morning, one day later, we've got a 30% full moon, more or less, slightly less than that, near Saturn in the morning sky. Saturn's been a little tough to pull out of the morning sky. It's not too bad. It's getting to where you can see it right now. But it's been, it just gets light so much earlier each day. As Saturn tries to pull away from the sun, it still gets engulfed by morning glow. But you should be able to see this. The 30% full moon will be right next to it, so that'll help you recognize where it is this week ahead. One day later, on the 23rd, we've got a 20% full moon, and it's going to be near Venus. And so it'll be near Venus here, and then one day later, it'll be about 10% full, a beautiful crescent moon on the morning of the 24th, and it will have moved to the other side and a little bit farther away from Venus. So, but you'll see big, bright Venus in the morning sky and the moon on either side of Venus on the mornings of the 23rd and the 24th, a little bit closer on the morning of the 23rd. So that's what the moon is doing. Let's think about in the evening sky now. While the moon's in the morning sky, let's look at the evening sky. And as it gets dark, we've been talking about last week, we said Mars is going to go hit Regulus, the base star in the sickle shape of Leo, and it's headed that way, at several weeks. It's going to be there, a few weeks. And what I've been noticing, let's think about two big old lines in the sky. And so what I've been paying attention to this week is I've watched this. We've had clear skies in the evening, so I've watched Mars progress. And earlier in the year, you remember Mars was right over here under Castor and Pollux, the twin stars. So now you see the bright stars, Castor and Pollux, and Regulus is the biggest, brightest star out this direction. You can almost draw, it doesn't quite work. Mars, I've drawn it too low here. It should be up a little bit higher. But Mars almost sits right on a line between Pollux and Regulus. So you see these two bright stars, and you see the bright dot that is Mars in between them. And over the next couple of weeks, you can watch Mars tracking across that line. And so it's going to be pretty fun to watch. And that's what it looks like right now. It looks like a sort of bright line from Pollux to Regulus with Mars stuck in the middle right there. The other line we want to draw is to say Arcturus to Denebola on the other end of Leo. This is a terrible depiction of Leo, and I could have redrawn it, but I just, to say we got this sickle shape that is the head of Leo, then you got the triangle tail, and Denebola is the star in the tip of the tail of Leo. And if you draw a line from Denebola over to Arcturus, Arcturus is the biggest, brightest star in, so these are two big, bright stars. And it's the biggest, brightest star in Boetes is Arcturus. Remember, we get there, we follow the arc of the handle of the Big Dipper. We like to say that the handle of the Big Dipper arcs to Arcturus, and then we spin on down to Spica in Virgo. But so we follow this curve of the handle of the Big Dipper right down to Arcturus right there. And so those are the two big bright stars we're looking at to draw this line across there. As you get over this direction, about 3/4 of the way, you'll pass 4.3 magnitude Diadem, which is the brightest star in Coma Berenices that we were talking about last week. That was where we looked at our galaxies last week, was in that constellation. 4.3 magnitude isn't super bright, but it's the brightest star anywhere around here. Again, it's about 2/3 of the way across, or 3/4 of the way across this line. And right next to it is a beautiful globular cluster, M53. M53 sits within about a degree of Diadem. Use your binoculars and see if you can see M53 with your binoculars. Then get your telescope out, use the lowest power eyepiece you can, and you'll find a big, beautiful, sprawling globular cluster. But there's another nice globular cluster, NGC 5053, right next to it. This is one of my favorite regions, one of my favorite things to go look at for whatever reason, I don't know. But I really enjoy seeing these two globular star clusters right next to each other. Remember, globular star clusters have about 500,000 stars each, and they're all compact together. They're far away from us, relatively speaking, typically more so than the open star clusters. We see a lot more stars and a lot more closely packed together in space, and they make a denser blob on the sky. So this is what we've got right here, beautiful to look at. Now, on the way there, just 6 degrees from Denebola, so half a fist width from Denebola out along that line, and just barely below that line, you run into 2 more of these galaxies that we've looked at in this part of the sky this spring, and I forget what all galaxies we looked at. I know last week I looked at M85 and M100, and one of these, M100, we just go right through on this line, and we go up to M85. But M98 is just below here, and M99 is just below and slightly to the east. So we've got south and east of this line, but not very far. So you go out about 6 degrees and then start scanning around in that region, and you get 2 big, beautiful spiral galaxies, M98 and M99. And the biggest trouble you have in finding these galaxies, they're bigger and brighter than the other galaxies that are very nearby there, but there are so many galaxies. There are so many NGC galaxies in there that don't have Messier numbers like this that you don't know unless you've got a go-to feature on your telescope to help find these things. You don't really know which of these galaxies you're looking at sometimes. You can get confused. There are so many galaxies to learn because you're right in the heart of the Virgo supercluster right there. And so go see if you can find these 2 galaxies, M98 and M99, and see just off the tip of the tail of Leo right there as you go off toward Arcturus. So those are our 2 big lines, Pollux to Regulus and Denebola to Arcturus. And we're going to track across those lines and look for these things. The other thing I've been seeing this week, just random luck, right, are stray random meteors in the sky. We often talk about meteor showers, and meteor showers are great because if you trace them back, you'll see these meteors anywhere in the sky, but they all appear to have traced back from what we call the radiant. That point right there, they all seem to have originated from that radiant. But there are stray meteors, random meteors in the sky, that just debris that we run into that aren't associated with, these meteors aren't associated with a comet that left material up in the sky at the same place. It's a sort of tube of material. And we just kind of run into these. And these aren't rare. You'll see 5 or 10 of these a night under dark skies. And I've seen a few this week, just happen to be looking up in the right space at the right time. So pay attention to stray meteors this week. It's a fun thing to do. Go ahead and sketch. You see one, sketch where it comes from, and you see another one and sketch where it comes from, and then you see another one and you sketch where it comes from, and you realize that these don't all trace back to a single point in the sky, like the meteors from the meteor shower. So a couple hours, if you wanted to just have a nice evening of watching the sky, a couple hours just after dark this week of watching the sky one night. And my guess is you're going to see several of these, and you could trace a pattern like that and see that you're not seeing meteors from a meteor shower. So that's what we've got, a good moon week as it wanes away for us in the morning sky. We're still tracking Mars toward Regulus, and we're still looking at the galaxies, but we've added a couple of globular clusters this week in the spring sky here. So as always, thanks for watching, everybody, and we hope you have a great week ahead.